gentlemen, strength is not about how loud you speak or how much you show off. It is about the presence you carry, the control you wield over yourself, and the discipline that shapes your actions. The world respects a man who lives with intent, and women are drawn to a man whose character is unshakable. Here are 5 powerful habits that make a man truly unstoppable. Discipline is the backbone of every great man. It is the ability to do what needs to be done, even when you don't feel like it. Motivation fades, but discipline remains. When a man operates with unwavering commitment, whether in his work, fitness, or ambitions, he commands respect. Women admire a man who sets a standard for himself and refuses to settle for mediocrity. A weak man reacts, a strong man responds. Emotional mastery does not mean suppressing feelings, but rather understanding them and directing them with wisdom. Anger, frustration, and fear are weapons if wielded correctly. A man who stays calm under pressure, who does not seek validation through emotional outbursts, exudes a power that is undeniable. Women recognize this as leadership, because a man who controls himself can lead others. A man without purpose is a leaf in the wind, directionless and easily swayed. But a man who knows why he wakes up every morning, who chases something greater than himself, moves with certainty. Women admire a man with a mission, not because he seeks approval, but because he is driven by something deeper than external validation. The world follows a man who leads with vision. There is power in restraint. The man who listens more than he speaks, who chooses his words carefully, holds an aura of mystery and wisdom. Silence is strength. It forces others to lean in, to pay attention. Women are drawn to men who are not eager to prove themselves with words, but instead let their actions speak louder. No man should depend on another for his happiness, success, or stability. Build yourself. Learn skills. Strengthen your mind, your body, and your spirit. A man who can stand alone, who does not crumble in solitude, is truly free. Women admire men who don't need them but choose them, because that choice is made from strength, not weakness. Powerful men do not seek validation. They do not crumble under pressure. They do not wait for permission to act. They build, they lead, and they master themselves. These habits are not learned overnight, but once cultivated, they make a man truly unstoppable, admired not just by women, but by the world itself. Discipline is the foundation of all greatness. It is the silent force that separates the ordinary from the exceptional. While most men wait for motivation to strike, the disciplined man understands that motivation is fleeting, unreliable, and inconsistent. He does not depend on feelings to dictate his actions. He simply executes, regardless of whether he feels like it or not. This is what makes him powerful. This is what makes him unstoppable. A man who operates with discipline is a man who controls his destiny. He does not surrender to laziness, distractions, or short-term pleasure. He understands that true fulfillment does not come from indulgence, but from mastery. He knows that the battle is not with the outside world, but within himself. Every morning, he wages war against his own weakness. Every night, he reflects on whether he has conquered the temptations that seek to derail him. Discipline means showing up even when no one is watching. It is the commitment to a standard that others find too demanding. The disciplined man does not require external validation to keep going. He does not need applause, encouragement, or rewards to remain consistent. He understands that his greatest competitor is the man in the mirror, and his mission is to defeat yesterday's version of himself. This level of self-governance creates a rare kind of confidence. Not the superficial confidence that comes from validation or external success, but the unshakable confidence that comes from knowing that he can rely on himself. The world respects a man who has control over his own mind and actions. Women in particular are drawn to such a man, not because he is trying to impress them, but because he embodies a level of self-respect that is magnetic. A disciplined man is not reckless with his time, energy, or resources. He does not waste his days in mindless entertainment or endless distractions. He does not fall victim to instant gratification. He understands that anything worthwhile, whether it is building a strong body, mastering a skill, or creating wealth, requires patience and persistence. He willingly embraces discomfort because he knows that growth only happens through struggle. It is in the quiet moments of discipline that true strength is forged, when no one is watching, when the distractions are calling, when the easy path is tempting. This is where the disciplined man separates himself from the rest. He does not make excuses. He does not justify mediocrity. He simply executes. Mindset extends to every area of his life. In fitness, he does not skip workouts because he doesn't feel like it. He does not break his diet because of a momentary craving. In work, he does not procrastinate or look for shortcuts. He does not avoid difficult tasks because they seem overwhelming. He pushes forward step by step, brick by brick, knowing that every disciplined action compounds over time. In relationships, discipline means choosing integrity over impulse. It means staying true to his principles, even when temptations arise. It means respecting himself enough to walk away from situations that do not align with his values. A disciplined man does not chase validation or beg for attention. He carries himself with quiet strength, knowing that his worth is not determined by others, but by his own actions. Perhaps the most powerful aspect of discipline is that it removes the need for motivation entirely. The disciplined man does not wait to feel ready. He does not rely on fleeting bursts of inspiration. He acts because he has conditioned himself to do so. He understands that discipline is not a switch to be turned on and off. It is a way of life. While others search for shortcuts, the disciplined man embraces the long road. While others seek comfort, he seeks challenge. While others make excuses, he makes progress. This is why he is admired. This is why he is respected. This is why he is unstoppable. The path of discipline is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to true freedom. A man who masters himself has already won the greatest battle there is. A man who lacks control over his emotions is like a ship without a captain, adrift, unpredictable, and easily swayed by the tides of life. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing emotions or pretending they do not exist. It is about understanding them, channeling them effectively, and ensuring they do not dictate one's actions. A man who can remain composed under pressure, who does not let anger, frustration, or insecurity govern his decisions. A man who can remain composed. Weak men react impulsively. They lash out in anger, break under stress, and allow their emotions to control their behavior. This is a sign of immaturity and a lack of self-governance. A strong man, on the other hand, acknowledges his emotions without becoming enslaved by them. When faced with predetermined self-pity, he does not complain or fall into self-pity. He processes the best course of action and moves forward with precision. Women, in particular, are drawn to a man who possesses this level of control. They instinctively seek stability, and a man who is emotionally volatile creates an unstable environment. A man who cannot control his temper, who becomes defensive at the slightest criticism, or who crumbles under pressure signals weakness. Conversely, a man who remains calm in the face of challenges, who does not let his emotions dictate his words or actions, exudes a quiet strength that is undeniably attractive. The ability to remain composed, even in the face of provocation, is one of the greatest indicators of inner strength. It is easy to be calm when everything is going well. The real test comes when things go wrong, when frustration builds, when people disrespect you, when circumstances push you to your limit. The weak man lets these moments define him. The strong man controls himself, understanding that his response to these situations determines his true character. There is a profound difference between experiencing emotions and being controlled by them. A man who has mastered his emotions still feels anger, frustration, or sadness, but he does not allow these emotions to dictate his behavior. Instead, he channels them into productive action. He does not seek revenge out of anger, He uses that energy to improve himself, not to others. This level of control extends beyond personal struggles and into relationships. In arguments, an emotionally weak man raises his voice, loses his temper, and says things he later regrets. A strong man listens, processes, and responds with clarity. He does not react impulsively because he understands that reacting is a sign of weakness, while responding is a sign of strength. The greatest leaders throughout history have all shared this trait. They do not make decisions based on fleeting emotions. They made choices rooted in logic, strategy, and long-term thinking. A man who aspires to greatness must adopt the same approach. Every emotion serves a purpose, but only when harnessed correctly. Anger can be fuel for discipline. Sadness can be a lesson in resilience. Fear can be a signal to prepare and sharpen one's skills. Men who master their emotions hold an unshakable presence. They do not seek approval, nor do they allow others to manipulate them through guilt, fear, or flattery. They are not easily provoked because they understand that reacting emotionally gives power to others. Instead, they remain grounded, responding only when it serves a purpose. This is what makes a man truly powerful. His strength is not in loud displays of dominance, but in his ability to remain composed in any situation. A man who has this level of self-mastery stands apart from the rest. He does not seek validation, nor does he waste energy on things outside of his control. He moves through life with calm certainty, earning respect not through words but through the silent power of his presence. Ultimately, emotional mastery is about owning oneself. It is about refusing to let external forces dictate internal peace. The man who achieves this is not only admired, but also truly free. A man without purpose is like a rudderless ship, drifting aimlessly, moving but never truly progressing. Purpose is what gives direction to a man's life, what separates those who lead from those who follow. It is the foundation of resilience, determination, and self-respect. A man who knows his purpose is a man who moves with certainty, who does not waste time on meaningless distractions, and who commands respect simply by the way he carries himself. The modern world is filled with distractions, designed to keep men passive, entertained, and unfulfilled. It is easy to fall into routines that provide comfort, but no real progress. Many men wake up each day without a clear sense of direction, chasing short-term pleasures rather than long-term fulfillment. A man without purpose looks for external validation, seeking approval from others rather than building something meaningful for himself. But a man with purpose has no need for validation, because he is already validated by his own mission. A sense of purpose gives a man an unshakable presence. He does not waver in the face of difficulty, because he knows what he is working toward. He does not seek shortcuts or the easy path, because he understands that true fulfillment comes from struggle and persistence. When a man has purpose, he wakes up each morning with a reason to push forward. He does not waste time complaining about circumstances. He takes action. In particular, are drawn to men with purpose. A man who is focused on his mission, who has goals greater than himself, radiates a level of confidence that is impossible to fake. He does not chase people or beg for attention because he is already consumed by his own path. Women do not admire men who are aimless or easily swayed by every passing trend. They admire men who are steadfast, disciplined, and committed to something greater than themselves. A man with purpose does not crumble under rejection, failure, or setbacks. He understands that obstacles are not roadblocks but tests, challenges meant to sharpen him, to strengthen his resolve. Weak men give up at the first sign of difficulty, while strong men use adversity as fuel. Every great man in history, every innovator, every warrior has had a driving force that pushed him beyond what others were willing to endure. But purpose is not something that is handed to a man. It must be discovered, built, and refined over time. Some men find their purpose in their careers, others in their personal missions. and some in the pursuit of excellence in a particular skill or craft. The key is to commit to something, to dedicate oneself fully, and to see it through. Purpose is not a destination, it is a process, a journey of continuous growth and refinement. A man with purpose does not waste time on meaningless distractions. He does not scroll endlessly through social media, consume mindless entertainment, or engage in empty conversations that lead nowhere. He values his time, his energy, and his focus. He understands that every moment spent on things that do not contribute to his mission is a moment wasted. This level of focus does not mean a man becomes cold or emotionless. On the contrary, it makes him more engaged with life. It gives him something to fight for, something that drives him. A man who has purpose does not feel lost or empty because he knows he is building something meaningful. He does not wander through life hoping for things to improve. He takes action, he creates, he leads. The difference between an ordinary man and an exceptional one is purpose. The ordinary man waits for direction, hoping for something to inspire him. The exceptional man creates his own direction, finding inspiration in the struggle itself. He understands that life will not hand him anything, that respect, success, and fulfillment must be earned. A man who moves with purpose is a man who cannot be ignored. He stands apart from the rest, not because he seeks attention, but because his energy, his drive, and his ambition make it impossible to overlook him. He does not complain, does not make excuses, and does not look for the easy way out. He does what needs to be done, no matter what. That is what makes him truly unstoppable. A man who speaks less and listens more carries a presence that commands respect. In a world where everyone is eager to voice their opinions, to prove themselves, to dominate conversations, the man who masters silence becomes the one others gravitate toward. Silence is a weapon, a tool of discipline, and a reflection of self-control. Weak men seek validation through words. They talk excessively to impress, to gain approval, to prove their worth. They mistake noise for influence, thinking that speaking more will make them appear knowledgeable or powerful. But in reality, it is the man who speaks with precision, who chooses his words carefully, who says only what is necessary, that holds true authority. His silence forces others to lean in, to wonder what he is thinking, to recognize that he does not waste his breath on meaningless chatter. A man who masters silence is not indifferent. He is calculated. He listens, he observes, and he processes information before responding. He does not rush to speak in an argument because he knows that reacting impulsively is a sign of weakness. He does not feel the need to constantly explain himself because he knows that words once spoken cannot be taken back. In particular, find this trait irresistible. There is a mystery in a man who does not reveal everything about himself too soon. A man who listens more than he talks gives the impression of intelligence, thoughtfulness, and confidence. A man who does not overshare but instead allows others to wonder, to ask questions, to seek his perspective, becomes intriguing. Silence creates curiosity, and curiosity creates attraction. But beyond attraction, silence is a tool for self-mastery. A man who can sit in silence without feeling uncomfortable is a man who has conquered himself. Many people use constant talking as a way to fill the emptiness, to distract themselves from their own insecurities. But the man who is comfortable in silence, who does not need to seek attention or approval, radiates a presence that is undeniable. His confidence is not built on words, it is built on self-assurance. In leadership, silence is a strategic advantage. A man who listens more than he speaks gathers more information. He understands people better, reads situations more accurately, and makes decisions based on logic rather than impulse. The greatest leaders in history have not been the ones who spoke with purpose. Their words carried weight because they were rare, measured, and intentional. The power of silence extends to every aspect of life. In business, the man who remains silent in negotiations often holds the upper hand. While others rush to fill the void with nervous chatter, he remains composed, making the other party uncomfortable, forcing them to reveal more than they intended. In conflict, the man who does not react emotionally, but instead remains silent, observing, assessing, calculating his response, is always in control. But silence is not just about words, it is also about energy. A man who moves with quiet confidence, who does not seek to dominate conversations, but instead carries himself with composure and certainty, naturally earns respect. People trust a man who does not feel the need to prove himself with constant talking. They recognize that his power comes from within, not from external validation. This is not to say that a man should never speak. When he does, his words should be deliberate, impactful, and meaningful. He should speak when it adds value, when it serves a purpose, when it strengthens his position rather than weakens it. He does not gossip, does not complain, does not waste words on things that do not matter. Mastering silence is mastering oneself. It is the ability to control impulses, to resist the urge to react emotionally, to remain calm in moments of tension. A man who has this level of control over his words and energy cannot be easily manipulated. He does not reveal his weaknesses, does not expose his insecurities, and does not give others the power to dictate his state of mind. In the end, it is the man who speaks only when necessary, who listens more than he talks, and who moves with quiet strength that commands the most respect. His presence alone is enough to shift the energy in a room. His silence is not emptiness, it is power.